Gentlemen, how's it going? It is Dev's Booth, and today we are looking at the Borderlands 3 4th skill trees and most of what is coming out early next month with the Season 2 DLC. And to start off with Zane, their new action skill is the Mantis Shoulder Cannon by pressing F or G, obviously if you're using keyboard, and this will cause Zane to fire his cannon at his crosshairs and consume 1 charge. There's a maximum of 3 charges, cooldown is about 12 seconds, and damage as a base is 46. The first skill slot will be converts Zane Mantis Shoulder Cannon to cryo damage, but deals reduced damage. And additionally, Zane gains increased cryo freeze rate, which is really nice. The next skill slot is whenever Zane kills an enemy with his shoulder cannon, that enemy explodes into an elemental puddle, and that will deal explosion damage as well as puddle damage. And you can see the puddles from if you do one of the mayhem modifiers. The next one is No Way Out. Whenever Zane damages an enemy with his shoulder cannon, that enemy is pulled towards him and they take increased damage for a short time. Additionally, Zane's Mantis Shoulder Cannon cooldown is increased. The next is Brain Drain. Whenever Zane kills an enemy with a critical hit from his shoulder cannon, 2 charges are instantly returned. And then lastly is Proliferation. Zane's Shoulder Mantis Cannon gains additional charges and deals increased damage based on the number of charges remaining. So there's 2 additional charges, and the cannon damage gets plus 20% of damage per charge. And his first new skill is Mana Focus. Activating an action skill grants Zane increased accuracy and handling for a short time. The next is Renegade. After scoring a critical hit, Zane regenerates health for a short time. The next will be Deja Vu. Whenever Zane kills an enemy with a critical hit, there's a chance for 1 ammo to be added to his magazine. Next we have Headsman Hand. Kill skill, Zane gains increased critical hit damage. This effect can be stacked twice. Another kill skill is very nice. Tunnel Vision. While moving, Zane gains increased accuracy and handling. The quicker he moves, the greater the bonus. Commitment, another kill skill. Zane gains increased gun damage and action skill cooldown rate. Fugitive, Zane can sprint and shoot at the same time, which will be very good as another build for Zane is basically making him super fast. The next is Domino Effect. Whenever Zane scores a critical hit, he gains increased fire rate and reload speed for a short time. And if he scores a critical hit with his action skill, this effect is doubled. The next is Art of War. After activating an action skill or action skill ability, Zane's next shot fired from his weapon deals increased damage, and this effect does stack up to 10 times. And the next skill is Eraser. Zane's critical hit pierces through enemies for all weapons, dealing increased damage for all enemies pierced. The next skill is Sheer Will. Zane gains increased action skill cooldown rate. Scoring a critical hit increases this effect, and this effect does stack as well. And for his final skill there, Our Man Flint. While aiming down sight, Zane's weapons deal bonus damage and automatically apply their status effect when he scores a critical hit. So this build is incredibly nice, and I'm excited to see how we can get that working for him. And as you can tell from his skills currently now, Zane is a man of focus, commitment, and sheer fucking will. And then for Amara, with their new skill tree, that is the Phase Flare. Amara summons an orb of elemental energy that deals constant elemental damage to nearby enemies, and pressing V near the orb, again on keyboard, causes it to fly forward towards an enemy and damage them. Additionally, every time Amara uses a melee attack on the orb, it gains increased damage based on the damage she dealt to it. And then the action skill slots will be versus Glow Up. Instead of dealing splash damage to enemies, Amara's orbs grants nearby allies health regeneration. Amara may also melee it, while near the orb to send it to a downed enemy, granting them a second wind. Next is Cold Hearted, converts Amara's action skill to cryo damage. Next is Expedite. Whenever Amara kills an enemy with her action skill, she gains increased action skill cooldown rate until she activates her action skill again. Next is Shooting Star. Amara summons an orb of elemental energy that deals constant elemental damage to nearby enemies. Meleeing near the orb causes it to fly forward towards an enemy and damages them, which also increases the overall damage the orb deals to enemies. Additionally, the elemental orb continually fires elemental projections at the last enemy Amara damaged, and then pressing F causes the orb to return to Amara. And then for the final action skill there, that is Light Fantastic. Amara uses an orb of elemental energy that deals constant elemental damage to nearby enemies. Whenever Amara damages the enemy, the elemental orb automatically travels to the enemy. Whenever Amara kills the enemy, the elemental orb gains increased damage, and then pressing F causes the orb to return to Amara. And then for her skills, that is Trust in Yourself. Whenever an enemy breaks Amara's shield, she gains increased reload speed, charge speed, and weapon swap speed for a short time, and this effect is doubled if Amara's shield is broken by a melee attack. No mistakes in nature. Whenever Amara inflicts a status effect on an enemy, she gains increased melee damage for a short time. And maxing that out does grant up to plus 65% bonus melee damage. Heavy Rain. Amara's weapons gain increased projectile speed and splash damage. Ebb and Flow. Whenever Amara kills an enemy with a melee attack, she gains a portion of that damage dealt back as health. Unweave the Rainbow. Amara deals bonus damage of her attuned element whenever she deals melee damage or splash damage to a frozen enemy. Go with the Flow. Whenever Amara freezes an enemy, she gains increased movement speed and weapon damage for a short time. Combo Breaker. Killing an enemy with melee damage has a chance to reset Amara's action skill cooldown. Joyful Freedom. After activating her action skill, Amara gains increased melee damage for a short time. Burn Both Ends. After activating her action skill, Amara gains increased threat for a short time, drawing the attention of all enemies in a huge radius. Whenever Amara is dealt damage by an enemy, she gains increased damage for a short time, and this effect does stack. Her next skill is Atman. Amara gains increased skill damage. Free the Soul, it's a kill skill. Whenever Amara kills a frozen enemy, splinters fly out from the enemy and home in on nearby enemies, dealing cryo damage, and this skill does have a short cooldown rate. Body and Mind, another kill skill. Amara melee attack deals bonus splash damage for a short period of time. And then lastly is Clear the Mind, it's a kill skill. After killing an enemy, Amara ignores the enemy's elemental damage resistance for a short time, but this does not affect elemental immunity. And so that will make her very OP, especially in the melee build routes, meaning I'll definitely have to make an update on my current build. And then for Moze, her new action skill is Iron Cub. Moze summons Iron Cub in place of Iron Bearer. Iron Cub equips 2 of whatever weapon is equipped in the remaining action skill slot. So if you were to have rockets, it'd be 2 rockets. If you had fists, it'd be 2 fists. And while deployed, Iron Cub follows Moze and will target and attack enemies for a short duration. It will use less fuel, but it will do less damage as well. And there's only 4 skill slots for Moze with this particular build. The first one is Fuel the Fire. Whenever Moze or Iron Cub inflicts a status effect on an enemy, Iron Cub's armor is restored. My Little Friend. Iron Cub spawns with an incendiary Vladoff assault rifle in addition to Iron Cub's other weapons. Baby Nukes. Whenever Iron Cub is deployed or destroyed, it triggers a nuclear explosion, dealing massive radiation damage. And then Efficiency Engine is the final one. Moze gains increased gun damage. The longer Iron Cub has been active, the greater the bonus. And then for her skills, starting off is Biofuel. Whenever Moze or Iron Bear ignites an enemy, they both regenerate health for a short time. Big Surplus. While Moze's action skill is cooling down, she deals bonus incendiary damage. Really Big Guns. Iron Bear gains increased damage. Explosive Fury. Moze and Iron Bear gain increased status effect damage and status effect chance. Harmonious Havoc. Moze gains increased gun damage for each weapon, shield, and grenade that matches the element to her gun. Double Time. While Moze's action skill is active, she and Iron Bear gain increased movement speed. Fired Up. Whenever Moze or Iron Bear applies a status effect to an enemy, she gains increased fire rate for a short time, and this effect does stack. Never Going to Give You Up. Nice rickroll. Whenever Moze or Iron Bear applies a status effect to an enemy, Iron Bear gains fuel, and this effect does have diminishing returns. Nitro Tritium Engines. Iron Bear gains increased maximum fuel and action skill cooldown rate. Superior Firepower. Whenever Moze or Iron Bear inflicts a status effect on an enemy, they gain increased status effect damage. Limit Break. Moze gains increased action skill cooldown rate. Whenever she or Iron Bear inflicts a status effect on an enemy, and this effect does stack. Feature Creep. Iron Bear gains increased damage and damage resistance. And then lastly is Running on Fumes. Whenever Moze or Iron Bear ignites an enemy, Iron Bear does not consume fuel for a short time. And then saving the best for last is FLAK, and his new skill is Gravity Snare. FLAK tosses out a trap that knocks up and temporarily stuns nearby enemies. After being deployed, the trap periodically continues to knock up and stun enemies for the duration And while standing in the trap and pressing E, we'll pick up the trap, ending the action skill early, refunding a portion of the remaining duration. And then of course, as you know by now, the new pet is a pet ion loader. FLAK is joined by a loyal mini ion loader bot companion, armed with a shock sniper rifle and homing shock orbs that can be shot to trigger a shock nova. While accompanied by the ion loader, FLAK gains increased elemental damage resistance, and then you can hold F to issue an attack command, which causes the ion loader to fire a powerful eye laser at the enemy, and that's a plus 30% damage resistance. And then going with the pet slots, first is Bull Loader. FLAK's iron loader increases to a Bull Loader, discarding its sniper rifle and equipping a shotgun. FLAK's Bull Loader also gains increased damage resistance and a powerful roundhouse melee attack. And then while accompanied by the Bull Loader, FLAK's shield is increased. And then when FLAK issues an attack command, the Bull Loader briefly turns into a Bulldozer, charges at enemies, and knocks them up. That shield capacity bonus is 20%. And then there is a War Loader. FLAK's Iron Loader upgrades into a War Loader, discarding its sniper rifle and equipping an incendiary shotgun and grenades. While accompanied by the War Loader, FLAK gains increased fire rate. And then when FLAK issues an attack command, the War Loader unleashes a barrage of missiles at its target. And for the action skill augments, that is Chris's Forge. Whenever an enemy trapped by FLAK is knocked into the air, they drop ammo, health boosters, and shield boosters. Wide Net. FLAK's trap gains increased duration and increased radius. Trap card. If FLAK would go into fight for your life while the trap is readied, they automatically throw a trap at the enemy that downed them. Blind with Anger. FLAK's trap no longer knocks up or stuns enemies. Instead, the trap confuses nearby enemies, causing them to attack their allies for a short time. Once deployed, the trap continues to periodically confuse enemies for the duration. And then getting into the skills is Gotta Go Fast. FLAK's pet gains increased movement speed and damage. Success Imminent. Whenever FLAK's or their pet's shield breaks or is filled, they and their pet create a radiation nova, and this skill does have a short cooldown. Agility Training. FLAK and their pet gain increased reload speed. Throat Ripper, it's a hunter skill. FLAK's pet attacks have a chance to score a critical hit, dealing increased damage. Combat Veterinarian. Whenever FLAK shoots the same enemy their pet is attacking, FLAK's pet gains a portion of the damage dealt back as health. Better Toys. FLAK and their pet can increase shield recharge rate and improve shield recharge delay. Lethal Fourth Authorized. Whenever FLAK's loader bot pet would go into fight for your life, it turns into an EXP loader, exploder, instead and seeks out a nearby enemy before self-destructing, dealing damage to all nearby enemies. FLAK's pet respawn time is also reduced. Take This. FLAK's pet gains a copy of FLAK's shield. Monkey Do. FLAK's pet gains increased critical hit damage. Whenever FLAK's pet scores a critical hit, FLAK's next shot deals bonus damage based on their weapon's damage. Woolly Armor. When FLAK's shields are full, the pet gains damage reduction. Not Even a Challenge. Whenever FLAK's pet kills an enemy, FLAK gains increased action skill duration and action skill cooldown rate for a short time, and this effect does stack. Keep Them Safe. Whenever FLAK issues an attack command, if FLAK or the pet shield is less than half full, a portion of FLAK's and their pet shield are restored, and this skill does have a short cooldown. Fuzzy Math. Whenever FLAK or the pet scores a critical hit, a portion of FLAK's and their shields are restored. Capitance. Whenever FLAK activates their action skill, they gain greatly increased shield capacity for a short time and immediately begin recharging their shields. This skill has a short cooldown. Besides the whole pet being added to this particular build, I think this will be very good, especially for the shield potential regeneration, as FLAK is already super squishy, and this will definitely help with keeping him up and in the battle. And of course, there is the new game mode Arms Race. Unfortunately, at this moment, I haven't been able to find any real information upon it yet. However, more should be coming out in the days coming. And one thing that is of note is that with the new DLC that is coming out, the new Season Pass, there will be new missions as well. And there's a screenshot that I can put up now that does show Axton, who was a character from Borderlands 2, is one of the characters that you will be interacting with, which is very exciting to see and does open the door for potentially even more people. And then one thing that I am still a little bit not fully on board for is that there is no new characters. Pardon me, no new playable characters Anyways guys, that is everything for the video. There will be more information in the days coming, and obviously when the DLC does get released, and we'll definitely be covering it then. But for now, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for listening, and stay tuned for next time.